Okay, let's talk about nutritional periodization for a minute, aka just a fancy way of having seasons to your nutritional goals. In that last slide, that's what we were talking about, right? Was I talked to so many women who, when I ask them, like, okay, how long have you been in a deficit for? Or how long have you been trying to lose fat for? The answer is usually like, most of my life. And I see a lot of women who are trying to diet year round in some capacity and usually failing at that because you just can't. You cannot diet year round. And so, maybe they go on a 1200 calorie diet or they do something restrictive like cut out various entire food groups or say, okay, I'm going to do this plan from now on and I can't have these foods on this plan. And think that that's just going to be a strategy now for life to lose weight. And inevitably, what ends up happening is because that is unsustainable and usually very aggressive, women fall off track, end up overdoing it, giving in because they're starving, and then feeling bad about it and feeling bad about their attempts, and then trying to get even more aggressive the following Monday or the following month when they get back on it. And it's just creating this really vicious cycle where they're not successful in a fat loss phase because there's no phase. So in that client message you just saw, we are starting her second fat loss phase together. And she was someone who fell into that category of just like constantly chasing fat loss, but never really feeling like she was getting anywhere until we started building in nutritional periodization, again, just seasons to her nutrition. And now that she's entering her second fat loss phase, she is finding it so much easier. It's just mindset and body are in a completely different place because we laid the groundwork and went through other seasons first. And if you really want to be successful long term, which I assume that you do, one of those phases needs to be laying the groundwork and really cementing the foundations. And the foundations being getting 7 or 8 hours of sleep a night, having a diet that is comprised of, mostly whole foods where you are eating at least maintenance for a consistent period of time. If you're tracking your macros, do so consistently and hit those, because I promise you it gets harder to hit them the fewer of them that you have. So practice being consistent when you're not in a deficit. It needs to be, consistently exercising. It needs to be managing your sleep. It needs to be maintaining your body weight on probably at least 1,800 calories or so. If those foundations are not in place first, that's the season that you need to be in before you skip to fat loss, because I promise the fat loss phase will be so much more successful if you lay the groundwork first. Last thing I swear is I think a lot of people think what they need is motivation, but you don't need motivation. You just need adherence. But in order for you to stay adherent to something, the plan can't just be eat unsustainably low calories for the rest of my life trying to lose the same 20 to 30 pounds. Like, that's not a plan. That's a recipe for failure. So if you want to actually be adherent, having a plan like, hey, I've spent the last 9 months building muscle, building my metabolism, eating really well, having zero food focus, having a lot of flexibility, it's a lot easier to stay adherent to a 12, maybe 16-week fat loss phase when you know that it's only for that long, right? And that's the focus, and you've kind of shifted goals. So you don't need motivation, you just need adherence to a better plan.